And when is it going to happen? Yes.
Yeah,
or the surcharge.
You know that I've worked very hard to get that passed when I first got elected.
Yes, and and you got one more second. Relax. Wait a second, brother. What are you doing? Don't get in my face.
The mayor isn't incorporating the majority of this into his budget that attempts to close a $1.15 billion gap.
And we're back, y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my people. You know that helps us out a ton. And of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day. Now, y'all, this story, y'all, it's really precipitated by this intense exchange by this alderman in Chicago named Sigcho-Lopez. That's his last name. He confronted JB Pritzker, the governor, who Pritzker thought he would have a nice photo op in Chicago today. It was a nice little snowy day. And Sigcho-Lopez, he saw an opportunity to get his own name in the headlines by confronting the state's governor and saying, hey, man, where's the money? See, Sigcho-Lopez, he's an alderman. He's supposed to be bringing home the bacon to his people. And they've been asking him, where's the money, Sigcho? So now Sigcho sees his opportunity to confront JB Pritzker and get a nice little photo op. But things turned a little sour as the alderman of the ward that they were in said, hey, man, this is my ward. You know? And all of this is up with the backdrop of your boy, the illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor of Chicago, having a disastrous budget, y'all. He paid $3 million for like a budgetary plan from Ernst Young, which is this international accounting firm. And now he doesn't even want to follow the recommendations that they make. You know why, y'all? Because see, there isn't enough money for him to do all the things he wants to do. You know why? Because he wants to take, you know, y'all already know what I'm going to say. If you've been watching my content, you know who he wants to give the money to, y'all. So, y'all, what we're going to do is I'm going to pop right into this very intense exchange. And then we're going to give a little bit more context about how the aldermen are they're not feeling the budget situation. Chicago has a budget shortfall of over $1 billion. They have an illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor who doesn't know what the heck is going on. He thinks he's the reincarnation of MLK or some civil rights leader. He's really just a social studies teacher, y'all. I don't know what's going on either. But anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into it. But before we do, y'all, we are launching our official Patreon. So if you want to be a founding member on our Patreon, we have just 222 slots, y'all. If you want to be a founding member, go down, click the very first link in the description, and you're going to feel good about this, y'all, because believe it or not, we are an actual paralegal school, and we help people get their paralegal certificate and get working in the paralegal field. And all of the proceeds from our Patreon, when you enroll as a founding member, all of that is going to go to scholarships for people who would like to study at our institute, y'all. So click that first link down in the description. Join us as a founding member, y'all. This deal will not come back. Now let's get into the story.
I'm calling you right now about taxing the rich. How are we going to afford? Look, we got people in basements. We got people in attics. We got kids being terrorized. Yes, and you oppose the corporate
You want to talk about that?
I want to talk about what we need to do to help our community.
What we need is a progressive income tax, a graduate income tax in the state.
And when is it going to happen? Yes.
Yeah,
or the surcharge.
You know that I've worked very hard to get that passed when I first got elected.
Yes, and you got one more second. No. One more second. No. Hey, the state police continue to. The state police is arresting protesters. When are we gonna be?
Alderman, I'm open to talking.
I was talking to them. Who are you protecting, brother? Relax. Who are you protecting, brother?
Relax. What are you doing? Don't get in my face, dude.
I was asking
Relax.
I asked a question.
We were just, I appreciate your passion.
So why is all of this happening, y'all? Well, as we said, there's a $1.15 billion budget shortfall in Chicago. They need another $1 billion more than they actually project to take in. So what are they going to do? How are they going to close this budget gap? Well, the illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor of Chicago, he has proposed this, he has proposed that. And these are initiatives that really don't have a lot of backing, like his $21 per employee head tax that he wants to charge to the largest corporations in Chicago. He wants to charge them to bring employment to his city, y'all. And the governor has said, heck no, that's not going to happen. So now they're in a bit of a crisis, y'all.
City council members are giving the mayor's budget team a grilling on an outside report that the city spent $3 million on to come in and make recommendations on how to save money out of this massive $16.7 billion budget. So Ernst Young, they did the report. They came up with as much as $1.4 billion in savings. And these alders want to know, well, how come the mayor isn't incorporating the majority of this into his budget that attempts to close a $1.15 billion gap? Now, the mayor said it's just one of many considerations that he has to take in.
But see, the illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor, the one that y'all in Chicago, you know, the guy that you voted for, the illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, the person who, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's the person who's actually in charge of all this, which obviously is going to lead to disaster. It's already led to I mean, you're already in a budgetary crisis. You're already in credit downgrades, etc. And this is the guy who's going to be seeing Chicago through the next few years. So what, you know, what else? So what else can we really expect, you know?
I just hope that they spend, you know, the same amount of time in this EY report also looking at how corporate interests are continuing to get away with without having to pay their fair share in taxes. I think all of it requires our attention at this time.
So this report done by Ernst Young, thus the slang EY, it recommends things like consolidating city real estate, some of the fleet of city vehicles, consolidating the way the city doles out contracts, and then $100 million in savings by having city employees pay more toward their health coverage. But alders are complaining that only about 80 million of these ideas and recommendations was included in the mayor's budget proposal, along with a proposed employee head tax, social media tax, and other revenue generators. Council members like the 19th Ward's Matt O'Shea says it doesn't sound like the majority of alders want to go along with these taxes.
So the illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor of Chicago says he does not want to balance the budget on the backs of working people, right? But the working people are the vast majority of people in Chicago. They're the vast majority of the people who are going to benefit from the budget. So instead of finding efficiencies and figuring out a way to make things work, he just wants to charge rich people more. But we all already know that getting more money is not the issue. It's how you work with the money that you get, right? When you're giving $600 to $800 million to people who are in, y'all already know what I'm gonna say. So that's the problem.
We've been very clear. We want to see more cuts. We want to see more efficiencies. We know we can't cut our way out of this, but before we talk about higher taxes, higher fees, we need to identify cuts and efficiencies. And this current proposal the mayor's put forth doesn't include enough.
So you can already see the way this is going to go. Last year's budgetary negotiations were very tense. This year's are going to be tense as well, because the person who's leading all of this just is not the right person for the job.
It was $3 million the city paid for Ernst Young to come do this report. Now, the budget director for the city is defending why they're not including more of this, saying these are long-term recommendations. You can't necessarily see all these savings in 1 year's budget cycle, but alders say, we're not buying it. There's more answers that we need to get. It's just all part of these budget back and forth negotiations that will be happening until the end of the year. Sylvia and Terrence.
All right, Paris, thank you.
So y'all, just a quick update. I thought that you'd be interested in seeing the tension we're going to be covering this, as you know, primarily because that's your boy. You know, of course we have to cover what the illustrious sub 10% approval rating mayor of Chicago does, right? That's the job. That's my job. So y'all, let me know, what do you think about this? I think this is more evidence of Democrat on Democrat dissatisfaction, y'all. You have the progressive people who want to take all the money and distribute it to their liking. And then you have the more moderates who are like, yo, why don't you let people who earn the money more or less keep the money that they earned? The progressives don't want that, y'all. They want to take all of the money and give it to whoever they decide deserves it. So I think that's what we just saw with JB Pritzker and Sigcho-Lopez. I think we're going to be seeing a whole lot more of that going into 2026 and 2028. Let me know what you think, y'all. Drop a comment down below in the comments. But before you do, please stop, hit the share button. Share this video out over email, text message, WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all your favorite social mediums. And of course, if you're not a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button, peep out. Check out the first link down below for our Patreon. Y'all, I'm going to be uploading our entire paralegal course video set there on Patreon in the coming days. So all of our Patreon members, you will be getting those videos free of, well, not free. It'll be included in your $9 a month. And also that $9 is going towards scholarships to help people study and enter into the paralegal field. Want to thank y'all for watching. Love y'all. We'll see you back in the next one.